Hello and welcome. My name is Amir, and in this video we're going to write the 15 game puzzle. In this game we have numbers from 1 to 15. So we have 16 cells and 15 tiles, and we need to move them around so that they are placed in the order from 1 to 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and so forth and so on. So something like this, maybe 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then the rest of the numbers. Okay, this should be fun. Let's go and start coding. Okay, here I will create a React app. This might take a while. I'll be back when the installation is done. Okay, now my app is installed. I can run it using npm start. Okay, cool. Next step, I will, as always, remove a bunch of things that I don't want. So here in the index.js, I don't want this, not this, and none of these. Let's go to app.js, remove these parts, not the logo. And then I can remove these files. Don't need this, and I don't need this. And here in the app, I don't want anything for now. Okay, cool. If I go back, I have an empty app. Alright. So first I will grab a bunch of CSS styles. Alright, here I'm defining the size for our tiles, these tiles, 100 by 100 pixels. And then I define two colors, one for the original tile and one the tile that are in the correct place, like 1, 2 or 3. These are defined here. Then I go to Google's and download this font. You can do the same. This is the font that I'm going to use for this app. In the app.js, I will remove all the things that I have here, and I will define my app like this using arrow function because this is my preference these days. I would have an app which would render a board component. So here I would create a file in say components/board/board.js, and I will have one for the CSS, so board.css as well, like so. For now, let's say that the board is just rendering some text. And if I remove this, it will be added automatically. So let's go back to our app and we see the word test being written here. So this board will render something like this. We would have a div of the class name, let's say game, which is basically the whole wrapper around this board, the tiles and this button. Here in my game, for now I have a board like so, and basically this board is this wrapper around this part of the board. And of course I need to render two things. One is these boxes that are overlaying on top of the tiles, and the second one is the tiles themselves. So I would have a overlay component here, which I will write. So in the components, I would have a .js and one CSS as well, so overlay.css. Okay, so we can say that import the styles from overlay.css, and then say that the overlay it will basically create an array of 16, then fill it, and then map. I don't need the value, but only the index is important for me. And basically they are just a bunch of divs and the class name of, let's say, overlay. So this is what I am rendering, and this is not dash, this should be underline. And in the end I will just export the overlay. I have my app, my game, my board, and these are the overlays. 16 of them, but none of them has anything inside, so it's a 0 by 0 div. So let's go and fix that. Run over to the overlay and I need to define some CSS for board, so these will appear in place and in order. So let's go back to the board.css. First import it here. So this should have a position relative for game, and our board, as you can see here, should be a grid of 4 by 4. Like so. So now we have our board, and the next thing is just create the tiles and put them inside these boxes randomly. Alright, so I will have a shuffle function which will shuffle the numbers from 1 to 16. It will get an array of 16. I would fill it with nothing and then map it to 1 plus the index, so it's going from 1 to 16 instead of 0 to 15. And to do the shuffling, I would say that give me a random number and then subtract 0.5 from it, so it's sometimes less than 0 and sometimes it's more than 0, which will swap two elements of these array. Okay, so let's see what we get here. Let's go back, open the console, and we get the random digits here. Okay, now that we have the numbers, we can show them here, and instead of showing the 16, we would show an empty spot. So as you go and see here, we don't have any 16. This 16 is the empty spot, which we will skip, and it will not move. The other thing is that we need to keep the index of these values as well. So as we move them up around, the order is the same, but the index changes, so that we can do the transition between these tiles. Let me write the code, it might get clear as we go down. So here I would do another map and say render two things for me. The value is x and the index is the I. So if I go back here and I refresh, these are the same. So I have a bunch of values with a bunch of index. Okay, these numbers should go into an state so that we could render on state change. So I would say numbers and set numbers. And in the beginning I would give the shuffle function to it so that it renders these numbers and put them inside the numbers. So now that we have the numbers, we can render them here. After the overlay, I have the numbers and I can map them to, let's say, a div with the key of index, and the value is like x dot value, and let's close the div and go back and see that we have the numbers here. Okay, it's better that to put this in its own separate components instead of doing it here, because we want to, you know, skip number 16 and be able to click on this div so that it swaps with the other tiles. So it's much better to do that in its own component. So here in the components, let's say tile. This tile basically has one CSS file for itself, and it should be pretty simple. It should take a number for now, and it just renders a div, so we don't need to have this. This renders a div with the class name of number, and it has the number dot value inside, right? And then we need to, of course, export it. So let's go back here, and instead of div, we say that we need a tile component. It cannot find the tile.css, so let's go and create it here. Tile.css. Now we need to style them so that these numbers are going inside these spots. So here I need to do two things. First, I need to check if the number is 16, then just don't show it. Okay, so let's go and write some CSS for this and this. So as you can see, I have all my numbers here on top of each other. All of them are positioned here. And here is my 16, which is disabled. So for the disabled, we would say that number.disabled. And then I need to distribute these numbers based on the index that they have. So now here I would say that they have the class of slot and some value, which is the number dot index. So we get slot 0 to 15. That we should write here. So dot number dot slot dash dash 0 is left 0 and top 0. Then the next one is left is like 100 pixels and top is 0. So let's go and see. Yeah. So I will copy and paste the values, and for each of these slots I'm using the size value that I have defined earlier. So for example, for number, let's say 8, we should go 2 levels down. So this is index 8. So the left is like not 0, 100, and then 200, and the top is 0, like so. So I don't want to see this 16, so I will go here in the number.value and say if this is 16, then don't render it, otherwise render the value. And yeah, I have an empty spot here. So now we need to move the tiles around. We would go to the board and define a function and pass this function to the tile. So I would call it move tile. And we are getting a tile. So how does the move tile works? If we are in a state like this, we can only move this tile, this tile, this tile, or this tile, because this is the only empty spot. So if I click on this one, this will move to the left, and this empty spot will be here. But I cannot move this one because this cannot go here. So first we need to check that if the tile that we are clicking is one of these 4. So I would first grab the index of tile 16, which is this empty spot. This is the index of 16. Then, if the tile that we are clicking is not one before the 16, or it's not one after the 16, or it's not one like 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 before or 4 after the 16, then we need to return. So we have clicked on this one, for example. So I would say that if not, now we have the invalid state. Now the thing that we need to do is that we swap the index of this one with this one. That's the only thing that we are going to do. So I would grab the numbers and map them. If the number is one of these, then it's the same, and if it's one of these, then it should be switched. So if otherwise, it's one of the two. So we are checking that here. So if it's 16, then we are returning the value as 16 and I'm switching the index. Otherwise, it's the number that this one that is clicked. So this should get the index of 16, goes here, and the value should stay the same. And of course, we need to return this new state, not return, but set it. So let's go back, refresh, and hope it works. It doesn't work because I didn't send this function down to the tile. So let's go here and say that now I need to go to the tile and grab the function here, and here on the click with the number. Need to save this one as well. Yes, this doesn't work. This works. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. This works. Yes, so it's working perfect. I want this to have some transition as well. So here in the tile.css, now it's working perfect. Awesome. The next thing is that I would like to use the arrow keys to move them instead of just clicking every time. So if I press on the type key, it looks like as I'm clicking on this one, this would go up. So let's go and write that part as well. So I would have a handle key down function which will take an event, and again I'm getting this value because I need to see which of these numbers is the 16 and then perform the key down based on that one. So here, if I go back here, if I press the, for example, up key, I need to find this specific tile and then swap it with this one. But if I am in such state and I press the left key, then nothing happens because this tile is in the rightmost and there is no tile here that should be swapped with this tile. So let's go and write the code. Okay, so now I get the index of 16. I would check that if the key code is 37, which is the left arrow, and the I16, this index, equals 3. So if we are not in this spot, then the left should work. So this should be a not. Then I can swap. I would call the move tile. So again, if I am pressing the left and I'm not on the right edge, then I would find the index that is after this one. So if I refresh, so for example, something like this, if I press left and there is something to the right, then I would find this and swap these two. It's as if I'm clicking on this tile. I need to do 3 more of these for the other arrow keys. So this is 38, 39 and 40. For 38 we need to check that if this is greater than, if it's not greater than 11, so it's here, one of these, and if it's here we cannot move it up. So we would add 4 to it. If it's 39, we should check that if we divide it by 4, the index is 0, so it's not one of these. Then we can move to the right. This is -1, and if its index is 40, then we should check that the index of 16 should be less than 4. Then we subtract 4 from it and send it to the move tile. So this is done. I need to use this handle key down. To use it, we would have a use effect, because this is an effect. So and in the return we just basically remove it like so, and now it should work. So if I go here, I can move to the left, but I cannot move any more to the left. I can move to the right, no more. I can do this. But as you can see, this, messes a little bit. So I need to have some kind of a animation trigger, so that when I'm animating, the keypress doesn't work. So I would define another state, like call it animating, and then set animating as well. This is false in the beginning, and here in the move tile I would check that if I am animating, then return. Otherwise here I would say that I am animating, and I would define a timeout to reset the animating. Let's say after 400 milliseconds. So, there's something wrong here. Let me see. This should be OR. So this shouldn't work. Yes, awesome. The only thing is that, for example, this 4, which is in the correct place, should be in another color so that we know this one is correct. And that can easily be done in the tile.js. Here we would say that if the number dot value in this case this is in the correct spot, so I would say just correct, otherwise nothing. And then in the tiles here, for the correct one, like so. And you can see 2 and 4 aren't in the right spot. Now we need to figure out the win state. So here in the board, after all is done, I will have another component which will take care of the winner. I'm sending the list of the numbers to it so that it figures out if we have a winner or not. Here, so here we would say that the winner takes the numbers, of course, and it will spit out something. And we need to import the CSS as well. Alright, this winner would check that if the numbers, all of them, if the value is the same as index plus 1, then we are winner. So if this is not the case, then we are not winning yet. So if we go back, this is number 1 in index 0, this is in the correct place. This is number 2 in index 1, correct, correct, correct. This is number 10 in index 4, so this is not correct, and we would return from this a null. Otherwise, we have 1, we should render something else. So return and yep, that's basically this. Let's give it some style. Obviously we are not winning, so let me go here, and in the shuffle I will remove the sword so that it's a winning situation. Let's go back, refresh, and we have the winner in place. It needs to be like above everything, like so. So let me go to the winner.css and have some like say index of 100. Go back, and I have the you win here. Alright, cool. Then I need to have a new button, a new game button, that when I click it, either here or here, the game refreshes and starts. Right, so let's have a new game button here. So let's say new game. Like so, and also a CSS for that. This will have a CSS as we write it right now. And this new game will basically it needs to be just a button. So I would say that there is a wrapper class of the button wrapper, for example. Then we have a button. No need to have any class, so new game. Need to export it as well. And let's go here and add it here. Let me put the sort here in the place, go back, refresh, and I have the new game. This is not in the correct spot. These two shall be here. Okay, needs some style, of course. So let's go here. Okay, let's go back. Now I have the new game button. This can go to the new game, to the winner as well. So in the winner here I can also have the new game, so that when we won we can click and play again. This new game of course needs to have a reset or something function, which it will receive here, and here for the button we would call that on click is the reset. So we need to send it to the winner as well, because this is going to be calling that the winner and the new game, because the winner will also call the new game. To the winner, get the reset and send it to the new game. Okay, but what is the winner? I mean the reset. Reset will basically reset the numbers. So I would just say set numbers, and call the shuffle function on them, and this should work the same. But before I test that, I would like to have the shuffle moved from here and place it in a effect like so, so that when the app starts I would call the reset, which will reset the numbers, and when I click the new game button the reset will happen again. So I'm not using this code twice here and here. Right, so let's go back, refresh, get a new game, everything is shuffled. So let's play a little bit. And then the new game, and everything is shuffled. Awesome. The only thing that I want to check again is that if I win, yeah, I get the new game, but I need to put some space between these two. So here in the winner.css I need to say that the direction is in the columns. So go here, and this is working perfect. So I will remove this part and check again. Yeah, it's working perfect. So this is about this game. I hope you enjoyed it. The code is as always in my GitHub channel, and see you in another video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.